will you push for doing away with the Department of Education? And also the Department of Energy. Department of Energy, you can't. And the reason is that the Department of Energy is an important department of the federal government because it oversees our nuclear program. And so you can't get rid of the Department of Energy. You can get rid of some parts of the Department of Energy. It has to do with consumer energy consumption, things like that, yes. But the Energy Department, up until recently, was always headed by a former military person. There was a reason for that. So the answer is, some suggest we'll put the Department of Energy back underneath the Defense Department, fine, but there still needs to be a Department of Energy that oversees nuclear energy in this country. So that's number one. Number two, Education Department. My feeling on Education Department is, I'm not going to call for its elimination, but here's what I'll call for. The federal government's role in primary and secondary education should be eliminated. I mean, there's no reason for the federal government to be micromanaging education. Here's my vision on education. It's very simple. The education system in this country should serve the customer of the education system. What a novel idea, right? So we should have a consumer-driven education system in this country. Now, here's the question. Who is the customer of the education system? How many people say it's the students? Raise your hand. You? How many people say it's the parents? Raise your hand. Absolutely right. It is the parents. Why? You cheated. She was at the last one. Because parents are responsible for educating their children. You see, if you think that students are the customer of the education system, then you must believe it's the government's job to educate your children. And it's not. It's your job. But you have been convinced by bureaucracies and the popular culture that at a certain point in your child's life, you are now free from educating your children. And it's now somebody else's responsibility. It is not. It is yours. Ultimately, it is always yours. And we have a system that doesn't recognize that. And I hear this from teachers a lot. Teachers are frustrated, the good ones, because parents don't think it's their responsibility to be involved in their children's education anymore. They're busy. I'm working 2 jobs or whatever. Okay, I'm working 2 jobs. I'm working a full-time job right now, right? Anybody disagree that I'm working a full-time job right now? Am I involved in the education of my children? You bet I am. It's my job. It's one of the most important jobs. So when I hear people say, oh, some parents are too busy. Oh, really? Oh, really? Are you too busy to take care of your children? That's just not an excuse, folks. I mean, I don't care how busy you are. I'll match my schedule with anybody in this country. You need to find time to do what is your responsibility. Not just to your children, but to your family, to your community, and to your country. And so what we need is a system that's designed around the schools, working with the parents to design a program that is best for each child. Make it very clear. Not designed to what's best for the children, but for each child. That is a consumer-driven education system. Right? I have 7 children. Let me assure you, they all learn differently. They all have different things that they need. And you know what? I know this because of the schools we selected our children to go to. And we were lucky enough that we could make those choices. But there's some schools where the environment, and I'm not talking about academic environment, but the environment is not something that I thought maybe one of my kids would thrive in. It was a little bit too fast-paced for them. Where one of the other children, fine. She's solid, no problem. The academics were really better for her and we would be okay. But those are the decisions that parents should make. And the educational establishment should be there to help you make those decisions. That's how education, we need to break the mold and say, how do we design a system that is best for every child? How many people in this room believe, well, how many people think that the only thing that's important from the standpoint of education is a child's academic achievement? Raise your hand. What do we measure? What's the only thing we measure in the education system? And yet all of you have told me that's not the only thing you care about, right? What about all the other things? What about character? What about morality? What about virtue? What about spiritual growth? All the other things that you care. How about your kid out learning how to work hard? All of these things. When any of you ever hire anybody, all you do is look at their academic record? Of course not. You give me someone who works hard, who's a good person, who's honest, who's got strong moral fiber, I'll take them over the guy with straight A's who I wouldn't trust if I turned my back on him.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
This is what's missing. And we need to demand it. Well, here's the cool thing. See, as President of the United States, I'll be the President of the United States who's the father of 7 homeschooled kids. Okay? You know, the old saying is, you know, preach the gospel, and if you have to, speak. Right? You live by example. You lead by example. And we can lead by the example that the federal government should get out of micromanaging schools to get better, quote, performance writ large. And stop this writ large, stop this institutionalized learning model, and go to a model that uses the dynamism of the American economy and technology that we have today. Homeschooling, cyber schooling, you know, team teaching, you know, co-op classes, going to colleges and integrating with high schools and private schools and Christian schools and charter schools. Look at all the avenues that, depending on what your child's aptitude is, just a wide variety of options for kids. And you might actually have kids who are really interested in going to school because it fits them and excites them to learn. Why don't we demand this? Why do we settle for institutionalization? And the answer is, I won't. I'm not going to mandate it from the federal level, because that's not my job either. But we'll get rid of the strings and then start a national discussion. One of the most important things a president can do is to have a discussion. How many people in this room in the last few weeks have been talking about class warfare? Why? Because the president's talking about it. You want to have a national discussion? Imagine the national discussion around this and around other topics about life, about the importance of marriage, the problems of divorce. I know it's a tough subject. A lot of people who are divorced in this country, but I don't know too many people who are divorced who thinks it's a good thing, right? Who thinks that we shouldn't work toward having less of it. Why can't we have that discussion? Why can't we talk about big things in America? Things that matter to our society. I know it's going to be